So what is your favorite module that you did not write?
Okay, I would say the Ghost Tower is always my go-to favorite. I do really like White Blue Mountain a lot. I would say White Blue Mountain maybe as far as broadness of the funhouse style
Oh yeah.
concept of it. Whereas Inverness is shown as a funhouse dungeon, but not quite as much as when you start to really think about it. There's only a few encounters once you get into the tower where suddenly it's completely different. The Medusa thing is one whole kind of concept. Then there's the water level, which is underwater. Those are kind of where you start to get to extreme fun housey kinds of concept. But the main dungeon encounters aren't really that. They're just kind of regular monsters. So my point is, as far as funhouse dungeons go, I would say maybe White Mountain. But Ghost Tower was always my number one favorite. That's why it would inspire me to write. And that's why Coffins is bred. People
Cool.
modules.
Cool. Now, what is your favorite module that you did write? Pick between your babies.
Yeah. It's hard to pick, but I would definitely say Funhouse Dungeon, the Puppet Jester one, between the backstory of that character being kind of complex, and the encounters stuff of all the encounters being unique and fairly interesting, done funhousey effect. I would consider that one of my favorite one. And then second favorite would be my Dragon's Princess book, which was more of a role-playing experience versus a funhouse, because once again it has a breadth of backstory characters in that. Especially Dragon's Princess has a lot of very Alan used to tease me all the time when I was writing Dragon's Princess because he would say Tennessee Taormino, like Tennessee Williams. He would call me Tennessee. I kept going on and on with the backstory of the characters. But speaking of on and on with backstories, in the Legend of Seven Golden Demons, in the sloth level of hell, the sloth creatures tell characters, just please entertain me with your 18-page backstory of your character. I need to go to sleep with her, please. So then the characters start telling them their backstories, and then the DM has to roll dice to determine if the player characters are falling asleep listening to it, and then if the monster finally falls. One of my personal favorites would be Funhouse Dungeon and Dragon's Princess, but I like them all, of course. I think they're all very unique and interesting, even all of them really.
Me.
But those are two favorites.
Well, good deal. Now, what have you learned about the RPG industry since you became a creator that you didn't know before?
It's a good question. I guess I didn't realize it was such kind of a more smaller community than we had thought or something. I thought it was more bigger, or something. And I didn't realize at this point it's kind of more of a smaller community or something of creators, whatever. And I don't ever think that one of those larger companies would ever say, "Hey, let's hire that Terminator guy to make our event." I'm not quite sure if my particular style or niche of the way I do the things would ever be appealing to that. And I don't know about that, but either way. So in other words, I think as far as where I fit in with the current thing, it's just in exactly where an independent publisher. But I definitely would like to go to some of the events and things like that at some point. What are the biggest conventions to go to? Gary
Well, conventions. You got, of course, if you want the big cattle call, you got Gen Con, where they basically take over Indianapolis every year. I personally wouldn't want something like that because you're a number amongst thousands and thousands of people. Now, if you're trying to sell product, that might be a good place to go. If you're trying to interact with other designers and play interesting games and do a lot of play tests and get great feedback, North Texas role-playing game convention in Dallas. That's a well-kept secret, and it's a smaller con, but they keep it small intentionally because they don't want it getting overrun and ruined. They want to keep the gaming experience tight and excellent. I've been going for the past 3 years, and a friend of mine that I used to game with in New Hampshire just came down and joined me at North Texas in June. And it was so good that he went ahead and bought his ticket for next year as well.
What does it cost for a ticket?
$100.
Oh, okay, that's not bad. Okay.
If you run a sufficient number of games, then they comp you the ticket.
I
And
saw your
so,
video too. That was from the North Texas, right? The new video that came out.
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So if you want to interact with great luminaries and current hot designers, that's the place to go. And heck, they might qualify you as a special guest and pay for some of your costs. I mean, you're kind of a deal.
Once again, I don't even think of it that way, but yeah, I'm glad that people like my work enough then to feel that way. Because I just think I'm just some guy here going, "Oh my God, I gotta pay the rent. What's the next book to come out? Okay, this one. Okay, great. Let's do this one now." And then hope that it makes some money.
Yeah.
So, but that's great to hear. I appreciate that. I'm thankful that people like the work. As long as I don't go broke, so people keep buying the stuff if you like it. go to my website and keep supporting it. But I always want to do it. It's like a dream come true. And I'm just like, I'm fortunate to just be able to come up with these projects so far, knock on wood, that they seem to have interesting stories and characters. I think that's one of the differences that maybe with my stuff that's different than the other modules that are put out there, is where I have more of these kind of detailed backstories of the villains and things like that make them kind of interesting or unique kind of characters to play or to engage with or whatever. Things like that is maybe what makes my stuff different. I don't know.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you about, was you ever go to any cons? So yeah, I'd encourage you to get out and mix it up some. Another one that I want to go check out that I've heard great things about is Game Hole in Wisconsin. Supposedly a really good spot to go to as well. I might do it next year. We'll find out.
Do they usually have like a hotel connected to the place or a hotel nearby or something on these
For
conventions?
most gaming conventions, yeah. It
Okay.
usually has a con hotel, and
Okay.
some of the hotels have other hotels next to them, and then you meet at the convention space to do the actual gaming, and that's how it goes.
Okay, because the only one I had attended recently was like back in 2018. It was called LostCon out here in California. So LostCon 44,
Mhm.
and I was on a panel, a small panel with a couple other people from the Dreamers Guild and some going over some stuff. So yeah, definitely I want to start checking out the other. And I just need to make, once again, keep going to the website because the more that comes in, then the more I can potentially get to those kind of things.
Yeah, and if you're not sure, if you've never read any of Mark's stuff and you're not sure if you like it or not, go sign up on his mailing list, because he'll give you 2 free modules. I mean, 2 whole modules for you to just enjoy, and then you can find out for sure if that's something you want to support with your money or not.
That's a good point. Yeah. They can do that all.
And
So yes,
so,
thank.
last question I got about the role-playing game industry before we move on to more standard questions that I give to every guest is, what do you think of the current state of D&D? And by D&D, I mean the thing that Hasbro owns.
Right. Okay. So, I'm 54 and I grew up with the first edition stuff. So I'm kind of because I grew up and played that up until the end of kind of playing. I haven't played any of the other stuff really, second edition, third edition, really fifth edition stuff per se. My head is still always wired in that first edition mentality, gaming style and play. Now I understand that, of course, over the years the sensibilities change or things like that. I do offer fifth edition versions of some of my modules, so I learned the kind of bare minimums of 5e to put it simple enough to do a conversion for some of the books for folks that like that. But I'm still more attracted to first edition style play than kind of modern D&D, like the modern 5e stuff. Although because I'll do conversions of my stories for other people that enjoy that. But just me personally, I still always prefer the first edition style of play and look and feel for that matter. But I do think that the fifth edition stuff, some of the stuff I've done with fifth edition is very nice. I've done nice artwork. I like some, like the Sewer Witch 5e book, very well done by Justin Davis. He did a very nice cover for it, all full page. Looks like sort of a modern D&D cover. It looks almost like a Wizard of Oz style thing with a young girl and like the witch or something. Very, very well done. So that's about it as far as that. As far as choices of some of the adventures and styles that they're coming out with, it's not my particular cup of tea per se. I don't know. I think there's a thing right now with the orcs, you're trying to make orcs good or something like that, which only makes me want to make a module that will be coming out soon, by the way, where the orcs are evil. They're bad and they're green and they're orcs, they're monsters. So I'm going to work on something like that as well coming up here very soon, where the orcs, they're green monsters, and
Mhm.
they're not anything other than monsters that are fictional monsters.